told him that though?
Because his statement is
Wack 100 been screaming snitch for years, but now a leaked wiretap dropped straight from 21 Savage got people dragging up that old 2005 Fed gun case again. Imagine that. Folks are starting to wonder if Wack been playing both sides this whole time, moving like a street boss and an informant at the same time. Picture this. Dude runs his mouth non-stop, calling everybody and their mama a rat, then suddenly, for just a split second, a cop badge slips out the wallet. That tiny flash might have blown the whole image he built up, and the timing of this exposure is too perfect to ignore. And get this, the wildest part ain't even the case itself, it's who might have leaked it. People out here saying 21 Savage wasn't just passing it around, he's the one who dropped it. Word is, he's been holding on to that tape for years, just waiting for the right moment. And honestly, can you blame him? Wack been tossing dirt on his name non-stop, calling him a snitch, accusing him of cooperating with ICE just to keep his papers clean, even trying to tie him into that whole YSL mess. 21 mostly kept it cool, brushed it off, said a few slick things, then stayed quiet. But this, if he really leaked that tape, that wasn't no petty move, that was chess. After years of Wack sneak dissing him on Clubhouse, 21 finally clapped back without even opening his mouth. Just one drop and the streets buzzing. Connect the dots and it's looking like Wack been pointing fingers at everybody else just so nobody looked too close at him. And this ain't even the first time folks been whispering that Wack might be tied to the feds.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Just a couple months back, reports came out saying Big U got hit with RICO charges, and right before he turned himself in, he went on video and flat out said Wack 100 was working with the FBI. That's not hearsay, that's a man about to face serious time, pointing a finger directly at Wack. Now here's where it gets shady. Before the RICO even hit the news, before any arrests, before paperwork dropped, somehow Wack already knew what was coming. He called up Big U's wife and left a message like 911, he needs to leave. Think about that. Before Big U even touched handcuffs, Wack is already moving like he's got tomorrow's headlines in his pocket. That don't sound like a warning, that sounds like a setup in disguise, like he knew the raid schedule because he made the call himself. And the wildest twist? After Big U got locked up, Wack hopped on the internet talking reckless, flipped the whole story on him saying Big U was the one moving grimy, claiming he was the one with a secret BlackBerry to chat with the feds. But instead of clearing his name, all that did was make the street side-eye Wack even harder. Because how is it that Wack is always the first to know? How is he always in the center of the mess, but never the one in cuffs? That call to Big U's wife didn't look like a favor. It looked like a man trying to play both sides, dropping hints to the guy he just lined up, keeping himself close to the fire without ever getting burned. That's when people really started looking at Wack different, realizing maybe he ain't no watchdog like he pretends. Maybe he's something way more dangerous. And the truth is, all this noise today traces back to an incident way back in 2005. Word on the street is Wack 100 and his brother got pulled over down in Texas. Nothing crazy at first, just a speeding stop. Cops walk up, ask the usual questions, and Wack tells them they're on the way to a funeral in Oklahoma. But then the officers ask to search the car, Wack says no, and that's when they bring out the K9. The dog sniffs around and boom! Out comes a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol, all loaded and sitting in the ride. Here's where it gets impossible to ignore. Both Wack and his brother were already convicted felons. That right there is automatic federal time. Cases like that don't just disappear. You don't walk away from felons with firearms. That's the kind of charge that ends entire careers before they even get started. But somehow Wack posts bail and slides back to LA like nothing ever happened. 2 years go by, quiet, no updates, no trial, no noise. Then out of nowhere, the case gets dismissed, and not because of missing evidence or some slick technicality.
Bro, what you mean?
Damn,
Because
been 3
obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court. Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case.
about
fool.
the gun case, bull?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
They will give you
case.
your
gang.
time.
The paperwork literally says, dismissed in the interest of justice. Now pause on that. Anybody who knows how the system works, especially with felons caught strapped up, knows those words don't just appear for free. That phrase usually means somebody gave the feds something in return. Years later, Wack tried to spin it, saying the search was illegal, and that's why the case got tossed. But that was pure cap. The court records were public. No mention of illegal search, no procedural errors, just case dismissed, clean as a whistle. And that's exactly why people been looking at Wack sideways ever since. And the timing, that's the part that makes this whole story stick like a ghost. Just a couple years after Wack's own gun case disappeared, his old boss Suge Knight started feeling the full weight of the feds. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suga's name popped up in a gang injunction. His circle got shredded, wiretaps buzzing, raids hitting, paperwork flying everywhere. But through all that chaos, one name never came up. Not once. Wack 100. Then came the Main Street Crips fiasco, the wild kidnapping case tied to Shaq. The transcripts show a man named Back calling around leaving messages, and the street's been whispering ever since. Back wasn't no random dude. That was Wack 100. If that's true, then his fingerprints been on more paperwork than he'll ever admit.
So yeah, after you got that message,
Huh?
after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. One sec, let me get Solo." And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, "One sec, let me get Solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps. He needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
Yeah, full bad.
Fast forward to today, and look at him. Loud on the internet, pointing fingers at everybody. Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, even Jay Diggs. Wack talks like he's the moral compass of the streets. But let's keep it real. That 2005 gun case never matched the tough guy image he pushes. Nobody just beats a federal gun charge as a convicted felon rolling with 3 loaded weapons in the trunk. Either you the luckiest man alive, or you gave something up. So when that police ID flashed in the recent video, almost 20 years later, it didn't just show a badge. It brought all the old questions crashing back. Not just about the badge, not just about the beef, but about the one thing that's haunted him since that day. What exactly did Wack trade to walk away so clean? And now, the brand he built his whole name on starts to look shaky. One word, snitch. That's Wack 100's favorite weapon. Anytime a rapper gets locked up, takes a plea, or even sneezes near a courtroom, Wack's the first one on Clubhouse screaming, they told. He did it with Gunna, claimed he had a 2-hour interrogation tape, and even threatened to leak it if Gunna didn't confess. But guess what? He never dropped a thing, just sat there running his mouth. Then he came for BG too, a man who already served over a decade inside. Wack tried to stain his name, saying BG snitched, but never produced a single page of paperwork. Even BG's old cellmate went public saying, BG held it down, never folded once. But Wack didn't care, he just kept talking reckless, no receipts, no proof. And yeah, on the surface it works. Casual listeners might think he's some moral compass for the streets. But the folks paying attention, they started seeing the pattern. Wack is loudest when he's deflecting. Every time the spotlight creeps onto him, he flips it onto somebody else. And here's another shady move. Wack records everybody. That ain't how real ones operate. You don't keep a stash of conversations unless you plan on weaponizing them or passing them along. And the scary part, people are connecting dots. Some of the same rappers Wack dragged on to Clubhouse later ended up catching cases. Loose Cannon went on there, said too much, and boom, he got jammed up not long after. Wack swears he's exposing everybody else, but the more you watch, the clearer it looks. He might just be setting the stage for other people to fall while he stays clean.
I'm going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
Now the streets are asking the real question, was Wack actually setting people up to talk reckless? Was he pushing those viral clips out so prosecutors could do the dirty work after? The way it looks, it all feels too coordinated, from how he baits people into heated arguments to how leaks just happen to appear right when it benefits him. Maybe it ain't hard proof, but that pattern, it's getting way too loud to ignore. Think about it. At some point, you gotta stop and study the trail. That leaked video might have lit the match, but the fire's been building for years. From that 2005 gun case that magically vanished, to Wack knowing about Rico moves before the feds even knocked on doors, to wiretap mentions, to that badge flash, to the way he records everybody, it's not just sloppy, it looks calculated. And the deeper people dig, the more it feels like Wack been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Because here's the kicker. If all these rappers he accuses of being snitches were really doing what he says, there'd be paperwork, receipts, trails of cooperation. But the only name that keeps popping up, the only guy who somehow walks away clean when cases crumble, when charges vanish, when people get jammed up, it's always Wack in the middle, untouched. And that's why the streets don't buy the act anymore. Wack built his whole brand on being the loudest voice in the room, always calling out snitches, always painting himself as the one who never folds. But when you line up the timeline, it don't look like a watchdog. It looks like a man playing both sides of the fence. One minute he's barking on Clubhouse, the next minute paperwork vanishes, cases collapse, and somehow he's still free to run his mouth online. People are saying it flat out now. He talks like a gangster, but moves like an informant. And when you really think about it, that's the perfect disguise. Nobody suspects the loudest guy in the room, right? But Wack's noise might just be his cover.
Give you some time, I don't know, 24 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour, I don't know. I'm gonna give you some time though, Gunner, for you to go ahead on and confess.
Because if he's always the one pointing fingers, nobody's asking the deeper question, why does his name always escape the smoke? Why is his past so clean when everyone else's is catching dust in courtrooms and the leaked clip flashing that police ID that just ripped the mask off? Almost 20 years later, and people still see it clear. It ain't just an old case or a little misunderstanding. It's a reminder that maybe the whole Wack 100 image we've been fed was never real to begin with. Now you see the shift happening. Folks who once cheered Wack on are starting to flip. The same people who laughed when he clowned other rappers are now looking at him sideways like, wait, maybe he's the one moving foul. The whispers online turned into conversations, and the conversations are starting to feel like straight up indictments. Because let's be real, how many times can one man dodge bullets, cases, and smoke, yet still walk away untouched? Rappers are catching time off their own words, but Wack? He's on Clubhouse recording, leaking, and stirring up chaos, yet somehow never catching heat. That don't feel like luck. That feels like somebody being protected. And that's where it gets dangerous, because if he really has been working both sides, then every single argument, every single recording, every single snitch accusation might have been bait for the feds. And the wildest part, Wack still plays it cool, still loud, still laughing, still pointing fingers like nothing's wrong. But the streets don't forget, and when that badge video popped up, it didn't just confirm suspicions, it made people start digging deeper. The mask is slipping, and for the first time, it feels like Wack ain't controlling the narrative anymore. The streets are. And this is where it all comes crashing down, because the louder Wack screams snitch, the more people rewind the tapes and realize the puzzle pieces don't fit. How do you beat a federal gun case as a felon? How do you know about a RICO raid before it even hits? How do your enemies catch cases while you walk away spotless every single time? That ain't coincidence, that's connections. Now the same rappers he's been calling out, Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, they're all looking cleaner than him in the public eye. The irony is wild. Wack tried to bury their names, but now it's his past that's haunting him. And with every new clip, every new accusation, people are asking the question out loud, has Wack 100 been the biggest snitch of them all? The streets don't hand out second chances, and this kind of smoke don't just blow over. If Wack really been hiding behind loud talk and exposures all these years, then the truth is finally catching up. And once that mask slips all the way off, it won't just be his brand on the line. It'll be his whole legacy. Exposed, or maybe the feds already know too much about him, and that's what makes this whole thing different. It ain't just about proving if Wack's working with them, it's about what it means if he really is. What does that say about the stories we've all been sold, about the people we trust with platforms, about the voices shaping the culture? People might joke about it online, but this ain't funny anymore. Real lives are getting twisted up behind this kind of manipulation. Wack been the one screaming snitch at everybody else, but now the streets are staring back, asking if the loudest voice in the room was wired from the very start. Because if he was, then the whole game been compromised for years. And the scariest part, he ain't laying low, he's still out here talking. Still recording, still pointing fingers, and whatever comes out of his mouth next might just be the final piece that blows this entire thing wide open. So tell me what you think. Has Wack been exposed, or is there even more waiting to drop? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you on the next one.